Hello and welcome. We got us another video about Rogue Squadron. We're actually just going to talk about Chapter 2. I know, the last video was just talking about Chapter 1. Don't worry, we're not going to go like chapter by chapter through all 40 chapters of this book. That would be really silly and a waste of time. We're not doing that. But I was very impressed with Chapter 2. Just like I was impressed with Chapter 1. So Chapter 1 just throws us into a bunch of action here. We meet a lot of the protagonists, and we kind of focus on Corran Horn, who's kind of the protagonist of the book, because we throw everybody into a bunch of action. They have to interact with each other for survival. They're doing some kind of training scenario. A TIE fighter pilot comes along and just kind of wrecks them. Now, reading Chapter 1 here, I kind of thought the TIE fighter pilot was going to be Wedge Antilles. Chapter 2 shows me that I'm wrong about that impression. And maybe I misread something in here, and that's okay. When you read stuff, sometimes it's easy to misread stuff or you miss a key phrase or sentence. So it was a good introduction to our main cast. It was a good introduction to a lot of the names on this page. Chapter 2 picks up right after that with Wedge Antilles talking to Admiral Akbar. And he goes in there, and it's time for social combat. Sometimes social combat is done really well, and sometimes social combat is done, Heck, that Asimov book I talked a whole bunch about, like, there was some social combat in there, but it was so slow paced, it was kind of glacial. This, nothing like that. This is actually an info dump disguised as social combat. So Wedge Antilles comes in, he's talking to Admiral Akbar. There's General Salm, who's kind of antagonistic towards Wedge Antilles. So now we have a debate between the two of them, with Admiral Akbar in the middle as the deciding factor. So Wedge is talking, hey, yeah, political reasons are why some of these people are in Rogue Squadron. I get it, boss. I'm cool with that. But I got this dude named Gavin Darklighter. He's Big Darklighter's younger brother. I kind of feel like I owe him. I kind of feel like I got to take care of this guy. So I want him on my team. General Salm is like, bro, you can't have him on your team. He's a kid. And so they go back and forth. Wedge wins. Then Wedge is like, yo, there's this dude named Tycho Selchu, or Kelchu, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I want him on my team as my XO. We won't give him like actual fighter stuff, but I need him to train people. General Salm was like, yo, that guy's a traitor to the Republic. He's a traitor to the Rebel Alliance. And so now they go back and forth. So we get to learn why some of these people are in Rogue Squadron, political reasons. We learn that they're still competent anyway. We learn that Wedge is somebody who feels obligations to friends and family. And we learn that he's willing to give people a chance, even if the popular opinion is against that person. That tells you a lot about Wedge Antilles. It also tells us a lot about the situation that they're in the galaxy. He's been on like a PR tour and stuff. And Rogue Squadron is kind of being promoted as like the super weapon of the Republic. It's good stuff. It's an info dump, but there's enough going on in the info dump. People posturing, facial expressions. Hearing Wedge's thoughts in the middle is kind of actually... He's not really the perspective character, but he is because we're hearing his thoughts. That was kind of weird. But at the end, I learned a lot about the characters. I learned a lot about the situation. And along the way, through all this stuff, I got a good sense of what was going on, a good sense of what the New Republic was kind of like, at least in broad strokes. They're still fighting the Empire. They're still fighting evil. They're still taking out the bad guys. And along the way, they still need fighter pilots. Wedge has some insights about Admiral Akbar. Like, we learn a lot about these people, but since it's an antagonistic situation where you have side A and side B, and they're fighting in the middle, it doesn't get boring. Like you were just sitting down and reading 100 pages in an RPG textbook or something like RPG textbook, RPG source book. There we go. It's a really great introduction to the situation and some additional characters that we didn't really get a lot of time with back in Chapter 1. I liked it. It's a great start to the book. That's what I'm going to say. It is a great start to the book. Book number 1 in an exciting new series. There you go.